The great Trish Regan, as mentioned, of TrishIntel.com. She's the host of the Trish Regan Show and co-founder of 76research.com. Good to see you. Always welcome. Welcome back.
Great to be here. I was actually just over in the UK where they have Medicare for all. It's not working out so well.
It's not. And we got this government report a few days ago. It was a red alert saying Medicare is growing broke in 7 years. And then Angie Nixon gets the nomination to be the U.S. Senator from Florida and says, my Medicare for All plan will save taxpayers $1 trillion a year because Yale University told us so. How can you take a bankrupt Medicare program and make it bigger and tell the American people it's going to cost you less money?
Because they got socialist math. What can I tell you? The Ivy League math is not what it used to be, Ed, not what it used to be. Look, there's no way, mathematically speaking, that would ever work, not to mention, what would it mean for your care? I mean, over in the UK, it's like 11.9 weeks in order to get in to see anyone. So you get this massive wait list. Your quality of service would go down massively. Who the heck would want to be a doctor? All those years in school, all that money that you're going to shell out to a place like Yale? And then you're not going to earn anything because you don't have any capitalism. Dare I say the word capitalism? It is not a dirty word. I'm going to say it over and over again. Capitalism, it works. Okay. And as a red-blooded American capitalist, I can tell you, forget about it. This is not a good idea, Angie.
Yes. And you said, who would want to be a doctor? Who would want to be a patient if the government is running all of our health care in America?
I mean, think about it. I mean, think about the post office, the IRS, like everything the government tries to run, Ed, you and I both know, turns into a bureaucratic mess. Not to mention the fraud. I mean, just look at Minnesota. That tells you everything you need to know. Look at what's going on in California. There is a ton of fraud. And then, you've got pets and, the pets get the handouts. I mean, in the case of Minnesota, it was the, Somali community there in Ilhan's district that benefited so beautifully from things. But look, I mean, that is unfortunate, at least as it's, well, it's been proven. I don't need to say alleged. Her involvement is still alleged. I would just say this. It's never going to work mathematically. You're just not going to get there. We need more free market capitalism, frankly, injected into this equation in order to save it.
So what do you make of the leftist pitchforks that are out for Hakeem Jeffries, are out for Chuck Schumer, no doubt, but Jeffries in particular, because he met with Jared Kushner. I get why they met. Both sides are mad about it, the hard right and the hard left. But if Donald Trump has a new reality of divided government, he's going to have to figure out how to try to at least work with people. But now Jeffries is out there saying, hey, y'all, I'm going for the Trump crime family. I thought the Democrats claimed to be the party of tolerance, unity. Isn't it a mess right now?
It's a serious mess. And Ed, I was just saying, they got themselves here themselves because they never stood for anything. While Donald Trump was out there saying, hey, I'm going to secure the border, which he did, they were suddenly like, why not have open borders? How dare you say it's discriminatory? It's this, it's that. So they basically, I think, boxed themselves into a corner. They were no longer for the everyday American. They were no longer for the working men and women of America. They just somehow seemed increasingly to be all about the elites, and they were for the elites, and they were for no borders. And that left them in a position where they were like, anything that Trump says, we're going to hate. And so it was like open season for Donald Trump. He was able to go in and he captured all these policies that maybe historically had been aligned with the Democrat Party, which is why you have the unions in New York City saying, we don't want anything to do with this Mamdani guy. We don't want anything to do with the Democrat Party that is standing for socialism. And so the party was basically up for grabs because all the bigwigs sat around and said, we hate Trump. And if you don't actually have any policy that you're putting forward, if you don't stand for something, then yeah, I think, they get what they deserve in this case.
Absolutely. So let's talk affordability then, because you know the economy as well as anyone. President took this dramatic new action against Iran yesterday, administration calling it economic D-Day, and the Treasury Secretary issuing all these warnings. We're getting new video tonight out of Tehran showing people queuing up for gas. There's apparently been fights. Inflation, as you know, is like 300% right now. Their currency in Iran already worthless, basically. How much longer can the regime hold on? And then what does that impact here on our gas prices? Because I keep seeing the price of a barrel of oil is coming down again today.
Yeah, because one, we have secured the strait, and two, we have a lot more sources for energy than we ever had before. And I think we're committed to growing those sources of alternatives vis-a-vis drilling here in the U.S., et cetera. But what I would say is, Iran is going to have a real problem because the Treasury Department is very serious about saying, hey, these sanctions, they're going to have to take effect.
Yeah.
So that means Germany, which still trades like $1 billion a year with Iran, you're not going to be able to trade anymore with Iran. Hey, it means Italy, which has like $600 million worth of trade. I know it's a small amount, but it's 600 million. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to trade. So we're going to get the Europeans out of there for sure. And they kind of gave them a nudge just yesterday, Bessent saying, you're either our partner or you're not.
Right.
And if you decide to do this trade, still, there will be ramifications for that. So the big sort of kahuna, if you would be China. So if China is going to continue trading with Iran, then that's a real problem. They're getting 80% of their oil from China, or rather from Iran. China is, and it's roughly, they wouldn't tell you this. They say it's around $9 or $10 billion a year in trade. It's more like 44 billion a year in trade. So if China keeps that up, it's going to be a real problem. It's going to be a real sticking point. So what we need to do is get all our allies out there to be on board with us. And so we're going to put sanctions in. That means, hey, you want to trade with the US of A? That means you're not on the side doing your little thing with Iran.
Yeah, and it's good to see the president getting tough with these allies. It's going to be interesting to see what he does face-to-face with the Chinese president when he's at the White House next month. We're going to watch it. Trish Regan, appreciate your time as always. Thank you.